Okay, I've got a question. What do The Grump, a self-help book, and a bad back have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are key plot points in Hallmark Channel's 2024 Christmas flick, Three Wiser Men and a Boy, the much anticipated sequel to Three Wise Men and a Baby. And man, we've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
You better believe it, Jennifer, and we will unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Sit down and watch, then have a talk with Jennifer and Josh.
Well, it's hard to believe it, but Thanksgiving week is upon us. So, Jennifer, I got to know, what is your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Dressing. And I used to not even think I would like it, so I didn't try it because it looked gross. You know, when you're a kid, you just think stuff looks gross and you want nothing to do with it. Man, give me a big old pot of stuffing and I am happy as can be. How about you?
This may be divisive, but I am a
No.
canned cranberry guy through and through, through and through,
Oh,
through and through.
it, it has to look like the can, like with the ridges. You saw.
Absolute, because it tells you where to slice.
Yeah, well, that is convenient, isn't it?
It's very convenient. It's just
If you'd asked me to peg what your favorite thing would have been, it would have been a little more fancy than that. I just thought you the fancy boy.
I'm just
Yeah,
keeping it I'm just keeping it real. That's what you've
I
come
guess
to
so.
expect here on this podcast, is us keeping it real, and we are going to keep it real as we gab about this brand new one out on Hallmark, much anticipated, as Jennifer said. Let me give you the plot recap to Three Wiser Men and a Boy, brand new out on Hallmark Channel. Brothers Luke, Taylor, and Stefan help Luke's son Thomas with the school musical after the director quits. They deal with their mom Barbara's new boyfriend, family dynamics, and more during a chaotic Christmas season. Let's go.
Okay, so we open on this sequel with Andrew Walker's character Lucas talking to himself in the bathroom mirror, much like the original movie started, except this time there's been a 5-year time jump. So he's not shirtless, and there's a pic of him on the wall holding a baby boy, and he's now a domestic dad. He runs outside of his domestic suburban home in his skivvies trying to chase down the trash truck. And man, I've been there. We've all been there. You forget it's trash day and you got to get it out there. Very high stress situation. Paul Campbell's character Stefan is a former pet therapist and has a new human book out, and he's making the publicity rounds. He's conquered his anxiety through the methods in his book, and he wants the world to know about it. We see Tyler Hynes' character Taylor, and let's just be real, I'm probably going to call him Tyler at some point. Tyler, it's too similar, but here we are. He now has his own game company because, he got axed in the original movie. Lucas's wife's gonna go on a work trip for a week, so she's like, "Hey, you're gonna watch Thomas the entire time," which he's presumably been the father of this child for 5 years, so that shouldn't be a big deal, right?
No.
Right?
Oh,
Okay. Taylor gets home to an eviction notice on his door. Stefan is still with the dog enthusiast from the first movie, and she's in charge of the costumes for the Christmas program that has Thomas in it. So right out of the gate, we're kind of back in their world. Stefan gets on one knee to tie his shoe, and she thinks he's going to propose because they're still not engaged even after 5 years. That's a long time, but
long
who
time.
am I to judge?
Mm.
Curious what the holdup is. I guess we'll learn more later. So here we are. We're back in the world. How did you feel seeing the Brenner family again, Josh?
So good to see them back. I just think that these three guys together, you could tell they're having a blast shooting this thing and that they just enjoy being around each other. And, Paul Campbell helped develop the story, right? So he's right there in the thick of it. And I just felt like a warm blanket kind of thing where you're just right there ready to go.
I agree. So remember, Lucas is a firefighter. So now he's chief because it's been 5 years. So they're at the firehouse. Firefighters are not fighting fires. No, they're unboxing Balsam Hill ornaments. And because they're going to do some charity thing where they're auctioning off decorated Balsam Hill trees, yes, at the end, I guess.
Brought to you by Balls.
Yeah, we learn later the Lucas messed up some paperwork for the event space for this fundraiser. So they had to get a new event space on a new night, and it's going to coincide with the night of Thomas's Christmas play. And he's feeling slighted. There's new recruits coming in. He feels a little out of touch with what's going on in the inner workings at the office at the firehouse, and he's wondering if he's getting slighted. He's just a dad who's getting older. He doesn't get invited to Christmas trivia anymore, and he's feeling some type of way about that, as we all do. If you are an adult with kids, sometimes you can't go to Christmas trivia all the time,
No.
Lucas. It just is par for the course. But here we are. The brothers all jump on a video call with mom because they're going to see each other tonight. And for some reason, they need to be on a video call. And she's confirming, you will be at dinner, right? Because it's going to be a special evening. Goes right over their heads. They don't see anything wrong with this. Yes, we'll be there. So we then see Taylor in his office, which turns out it's actually he has like a booth area at the local coffee shop. And he's been carrying this giant case around that looked like kind of a guitar case, more heavy duty. It's the signage that goes behind him in his little setup for Zoom calls where he's trying to pitch his game and make, $1 million or whatever from it. And he's not getting the offers he wants. Well, they kick him out of the coffee shop. So now he has nowhere to go, nowhere to sleep, nowhere to work. What's he gonna do? And Lucas is like, "Hey, you know what you do have time for? You can go pick up the cookies that my wife made that are on the counter to take to Thomas's play because we're in charge of the snacks today." Okay. We're at the school, and the kids are rehearsing the play, How the Grump Ruined Christmas, which is so funny.
So funny.
It was funny anyways, and then they, like, double down on the funny, like, "Oh, yeah, we can't pay we're not gonna pay for the rights." So it's he said, "How the Grinch Stole Christmas, How the Grump Ruined Christmas." This theater teacher is stressed out. He thinks he's better than this, right? He's questioning everything about his life choices. How did he end up here with a bunch of kids who can't sing, can't act? It's K through 5 production, and they're all just, like, not getting it. To make matters worse, Taylor's there, he brings in the cookies. It turns out he just picks some up on the way, because what's the big deal? I didn't need to go home and pick up the special cookies. And Stefan brings some costumes. The theater teacher's going on a rant about how no parents really wanna help when the kids start eating the cookies. And, of course, he brought peanut butter cookies because he's dumb, and there's a kid who's allergic to peanut butter, and isn't this funny, Josh? It's so funny that we're making fun of food allergies again. And when I tell you, I had to pause the movie and go on a rant to my husband about this because listen, here, gold crown people, bring it in. I'm just zooming my face closer because I don't know how to zoom it. Stop doing this. I'm going to rage so hard at you because you made me hate the whole following scene, and I had a bad peanut butter taste in my mouth the whole movie. I'm so uncomfortable. Bah humbug. Why do we have to use food allergies as a plot device? And yes, I'm personally offended because I have a kid who has life-threatening food allergies. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's legitimately life-threatening, and I have to deal with it every day. I don't wanna see it in my Hallmark movies. If you do it one more time, I'm gonna take a gold crown and shove it where the sun doesn't shine.
And this has been another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? Special thanks to Nick Schwartz.
I want no more of this next year. I want no more.
The foot has been put down on food allergy tropes. Period.
More.
Period.
No more. Anyways, in the hustle and bustle of the kid, having a food allergy attack and breaking out in hives because it's funny, right? Stefan knocks over a nutcracker, which is a whole triggered event because all the set pieces and the costumes get ruined, paint splattering everywhere. It's chaos. People are screaming. The director quits, and the brothers are all pointing fingers at who is to blame in true Brenner brother fashion. They get to dinner at mom's house, and she introduces her to the boyfriend, Pastor Roy, who evidently nobody knew about. Stefan passes out from the shock of it all. And his anxiety, which was evidently cured, is maybe going to start percolating a little bit. Turns out mom's like, I've been on quite a few dates over the years, but I've been with Pastor Roy for the past 6 months, and he's good with his hands. Ugh. And I could have done without that. They say that quite a bit. Pastor Roy, great with his hands. Taylor's like, have a great idea. Let's all live under the same roof for a week or longer, around Christmas for Ma, right? It'll be great for Ma to have us all back. And they're begrudgingly like, okay, I guess so. The next day, they get pulled into the principal's office, who is also their former principal, which is funny that it's the same guy.
53 years.
Same gig. Yeah. And they're like, look, you got to fix this. The director quit. You all have to do the program now, the Christmas play. have fun. But if you want, Pastor Roy can help because he's a substitute shop class teacher and he's good with his hands. And they're all just scrunching, like, no, no more. Turns out half of the kids aren't in the play anymore because the parents didn't want them around poison cookies. Because we're gonna keep talking about it, although that did kinda make me laugh just, like, a little bit, the term poison cookies, but okay. None of the kids that are left can sing or dance. They were, like, pure background vibes, and now what are we gonna do? The guys are like, "We're gonna make the Grump play even better than before." They're gonna band together, but they have no real plan as to how to do this. That night, the family gathers around to play Christmas Pictionary, and since the brothers lost the game, they get to wear last year's Christmas photo outfit for 24 hours, including to the elementary school to build the sets. And it's like this candy cane thing, and it's like a slow motion walking through the halls moment, which is again a nod to the first movie and is very funny. Taylor connects with the girl playing piano for the play, and she's chomping on a candy cane like he so often does. They're dressed similarly, they have similar vibes, and they both live in their parents' basement, but they're both on the brink of success. What did you think about this new addition? Because he was with a different girl. He's with Allie Liebert's character at the end of the last movie. I don't know what happened to her, but now we're introduced to Piano Girl. What do you
I
think?
liked her, you know? She had a sass to her and a zip in the way she talked back to him, and I thought it was very cat and mouse between the 2 of them, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, he takes her on a date to Bobo, Dave and Buster's, and they have a Christmas dance party dance battle. And they talk about life is too much fun to be doing it alone, and they almost kiss. But then turns out Stefan and Lucas brought the kids to Bobo Dave and Buster's for a team building event, and they play laser tag, which was kind of fun. But I hated laser tag as like a youth group
Yeah.
lock-in event. I was terrible at it. I'm not athletic. Certainly couldn't do laser tag, and I would just hide. I was terrified of it. Were you a laser tagger? No.
I liked it, but, I mean, I'm not gonna bend over backwards for laser tag. It's not my favorite thing to do at a Dave& and Buster's kind of environment, so
Hmm.
but I
Take it
liked
very
this scene.
seriously.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, no, it was fun, it was fun. So, the guy's got a new plan. Moving forward, Steph is gonna narrate, Luke's gonna direct it, and Taylor will be the grump, which there was some back and forth of who would be the grump, but it's gonna be Taylor. They give the kids the new scripts, the kids are pushing back because they have too many lines, and they're like, "You know what? Let's move on to the dance," and the brothers teach them the classic Brenner Brother Sugar Plum Fairy Dance. Aces, ace in the hole, let's
Of
do it.
course.
They try to sing, that's not going well. This play is really not getting off the ground, and I don't know how close it is to the premiere, but it's tick-tocking, right? We're running out of time. So, the brothers then build a great blanket fort at home, and Thomas tells Taylor he doesn't think he's good enough for this play, which is heartbreaking, but it's also I thought the scene was really sweet to have this, like, uncle-nephew vibe. They really connected, and I thought it was sincere, and then all the guys were like, "Hey, parenting is tough. They agree they can't let the kids go out and embarrass themselves. So they need to bring out the big guns. And they choose to do this by not calling Pastor Roy, who's more than happy to help.
And
They're
with
kind of like,
hands.
he's good with his hands, but they kind of feel like he's stepping on their toes too much anyways. Like he's getting mom the tree. He's like doing all these things that they usually do for mom. They're like, no, we're gonna call the obnoxious neighbor, Mark Leclerc, who was in the first movie. Mark takes over the play. He sucks the spirit of Christmas right out of it and brings in every inflatable known to man where there's like 1 square foot left on stage for these children. Pastor Roy's like, hey guys, I don't know if this is it. If this is the spirit of Christmas. Falls on deaf ears. They're like, oh, he doesn't know anything. Piano Girl is like, "Hey, the North Pole in Vegas had a baby in there. I want no part of it." So she is like, "I'll show up for the final thing, but I'm not teaching these kids new songs," which is what Mark wanted them to do. They can't do any of that. We're just gonna sing some Christmas carols. Peace out. I'll see you when the play is gonna happen. That's okay. Okay, kids gather around. We're gonna rehearse. We're gonna rehearse. And Susie shows up with costumes and yells at Stefan and says she doesn't even know who he is anymore. He's lost the point of Christmas. Oh no. And then, uh, oh no, again, a bee mob, a fire starts. And they're evacuated from the school. And it's either an overloaded circuit board from all the inflatables or they had Pastor Roy blowtorch and stuff in the back for the props. And the guys are like, "It must have been Pastor Roy. He sabotaged our play." They question his motives. They all blame each other. Everybody's a mess. Now mom gets involved. She's gonna lower the boom on him, and she's like, "I'm more than just a mom. Pastor Roy makes me happy. Buzz off, and you need to get it together. You're 3 grown men." Which
I
I
thought
like this.
this I thought this scene was probably the best scene in the movie from that sort of dramatic plot development story point. The way that she just sat those boys down and said, "Look, I love you, and I'm a person, not just a mom." I was like,
Right.
"Okay." Those
You
boys needed to hear that. Yeah.
you are grown men. It's like when they're all together, especially back in that house, they revert back to who they were as, like, teenage angsty boys. They just can't help themselves. So, they have a chat, the brothers do, and they agree, "We're gonna be who we really are. We're gonna accept Lucas has a bad back. Taylor's kinda struggling and getting his business off the ground. Stefan is trying needs to acknowledge his anxiety because like, he's having a lot of moments of really trying to, like, overcome and pretend like he's got it all together when he doesn't, and I thought that all worked. It's gonna be okay. So, Pastor Roy calls in a miracle like he does, got a direct connection to the good man upstairs, and he got an inspector in to clear the school for the play sooner than they thought, so they don't have to find a new venue. So here we are. It's the night of the play. There's also, like, this sub thing where Luke goes back to the firehouse to, like, talk to everybody about the fundraiser, but then he doesn't stay. I could have done without that, but okay. This play, the school auditorium is packed, considering there are about 5 kids in this play. I don't know. They mentioned that Pastor Roy made announcements on stage to get people to show up, which makes it make more sense because I was like, "Where are all these people coming from, and why are they coming here?"
Again, Roy, saved the day.
Roy is saving the day and getting 0 credit for it until they do apologize to him. They've pulled off the inflatables that didn't catch on fire anyways. The set's clean. We're gonna get it back to the way it was. Susie fixed the Grump's costume. I guess it was tinged with the fire. Turns out Taylor is gonna, like, step back. He'll be the narrator and let Stefan be the star because Stefan wrote the script. Stefan worked hard on it. So the play's off to a rocking start, and instead of the Who's down in Whoville, we have the What's in What Town,
Really funny.
and they're dancing. They're just like freestyling, they're boogieing down, and it's all vibes. And then the Grump has his like grumpy rhymes, and then he is on a rig to fly. But Lucas is behind the stage holding the rope, and I guess his back has issues because Stefan ends up getting suspended midair in this really tight, awful Grump costume, and nobody can get him down, and he doesn't know what to do, so he's just flailing. And it was pure comedy for me. I rewound it and watched it multiple times. He started flailing his arms, and Taylor, who is not helping him, is like, "Why do you look like you're swimming?" He's like, "What do you want me to do?" Like, they're bickering back and forth. And then there's a little precious girl who was one of the students who was so nervous to get on stage. And Stefan had this moment before they went on, like, trying to, like, "Oh, I'm nervous too, but we'll do great." She really comes through because they can't figure out how to get Stefan down. And she starts singing this very sweet, who or what from Whatville song and takes the attention off them so they can get Stefan down. And Thomas has his one line of, "Christmas is saved." And the dignity of the entire show is 5 stars, right? We're back on track. Turns out the girl who was brave was her dad is the same guy that Taylor was talking to in the beginning of the film and had given Taylor an offer that Taylor rejected. So you think now Taylor's like, "Okay, I'll take your offer." No. He's like, "No, no, I'm gonna hold out. I need to chase my dreams." Taylor, you broke. Okay, you can chase your dreams, but you got bills to pay too. So
Pay them bills. Yeah.
you can chase other dreams and maybe get some cash now. I don't know. I worry about his finances, but his dreams, I guess, are big of being poor. So they're all out after the play. Everybody's having fun. And then who should appear but our queen, Kimberly Sested, like an angel. And she comes in because she was in the first movie as the doctor, and she makes some meta jokes about, it's hard to have a follow up hit the second time around. Yeah, whatever. Stefan apologized to Suze, and he proposes to her with a ring that Taylor just pulled off of his hand as, like, costume jewelry, I guess. How did you stay? Yeah. Everybody's excited. It's Christmas, and Christmas is saved. There you go.
It's time for Golden Call. Oh.
Okay, it is time for our gold or coal segment. We are each going to bring 3 gifts to the podcast, and if there's more gold, it's Christmas is saved. And if it's more coal, it's Christmas is ruined. And if it's a tie, which sometimes happens, it's just a meh Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
I'm gonna give gold first out of the gate. I really like the subplot with mom here. Mom finding romance and mom kind of having more to do in this version of the story than she did in the first one. Because remember in the first one, she's like, "I'm off to go see your aunt," and that was
Yeah,
the
she
whole
wasn't even
reason.
there. Yeah.
Wasn't even there.
Mhm.
Whereas in this one, she was really central to what was happening, especially for these guys trying to figure out their place in the family, and I really liked that aspect, and that scene where she sort of asserted herself as a person, not just a mom, I think was really strong, and the actress who played her just really knocked it out of the park, so I loved it.
Agreed. I will give some gold. I love that it's not just a let's put the Christmas play together movie because when we got that in the synopsis, I was like, how is that gonna be a whole movie? It seems kinda like we've seen something like this before, but I love that they gave it weight because they wanted these kids to have a sense of self. They wanted them to have, like, a positive core memory and not be embarrassed and not get made fun of at school, that it's more than just a Christmas play, and so that made it have more heart to me, and I'm gonna give it gold.
Good. More gold for me. I was surprised how much heart this sequel had. It could have just been them yucking it up for an hour and 40 minutes, and I would have still watched it and still liked it.
Mhm.
But the fact that they had all of these guys really wade through some stuff really made it endearing, and at the end, the way it all came together was really quite satisfying. That scene with the girl singing that song and having to be brave, had a cry count on this one, wasn't expecting it, but it was just this really tender thing where prior to her singing that, she had connected with Stefan about anxiety, and in that moment, she was the brave one to help him, and I just thought that was so well done. So, I
Mhm.
loved the heart in this movie, so gold for me.
Mhm. And related to that, I will give some gold for Stefan's character by itself, this Paul Campbell character. I mean, we've seen him be the curmudgeon, we've seen him be the funny guy, but he really married that with this realistic portrayal of anxiety and the different ways it can manifest itself. And, how he thought it was all behind him. He wrote a book about it, and just sometimes things trigger you that you aren't expecting. I can identify with that. And I thought it was really a great thing to see in a movie like this, that, sometimes your little demons aren't completely gone in an hour 23, that it's things that still you have to deal with. So, I thought he did a great job. It was a very well-rounded character.
Gold for the whole cast. These 3 guys together, I said it earlier, they have so much fun doing this movie and doing this story and these characters in this context. It's really perfect casting, right?
Mhm.
They play off of each other, the quips, the banter. These 3 guys are pros, and they know how to deliver a good script in a believable way. The pacing of the way that they interact with each other, it's just funny. I laughed out loud
Mhm.
multiple times watching this movie.
Yeah, me too. I will give some gold. Now, I will say I almost gave Cole for the allergy stuff.
I was wondering.
Okay. I teetered and tottered on it all day.
Teeter tottered. Mm.
Because I wanna be consistent, and I gave San Antonio coal for the very same thing. I'm willing to let it slide this last time because they did acknowledge, like, in the scene after that, Andrew Walker or Tyler Hynes' character doesn't know what the big deal is about that. "I've never heard of allergies. What's the big deal?" How I didn't know allergies could be dangerous, and Andrew Walker's character says something to the effect of, "When you're parenting, everything is a hazard. Everything can be dangerous." And they used it more of as a device to make fun of him and his, like, just he's not with it, he's just kinda flighty and can't be trusted or whatever, more than, like, they didn't show a kid's face swelling up or anything, so that is why I am letting it slide, but I don't wanna see it again. Anyways, I'm gonna give gold, my 3rd piece of gold. Um, I really enjoyed that, sequels can be tricky. And we always say, "Oh, I would love to see this movie again," and then sometimes we get it and we're like, I can't actually done without it because it didn't really hit." This movie was I wouldn't say better. I mean, it's hard to beat the first one, but this movie stands on its own. It's a solid new story, a few new characters like the piano girl, but it didn't feel inconsistent with who they were in the first movie. It was still hilarious. And it stands on its own too. Like, it wasn't so reliant on what happened in the first movie that if you I guess I'm saying if you hadn't seen the first movie, it's okay. Like, you're probably gonna go back and watch it now if you hadn't seen the first movie, but they tied it together enough where I don't think anybody would be confused if they just saw this movie as the first in the series. Although I'm pretty sure everybody in Hallmark World watched the other one 1,000 times. But
Yeah,
anyways, if you're new and you just happen to catch it, I think it stands on its own, and that is a making of a great sequel to me.
I agree. So, bottom line on this, 6 pieces of gold. It was a home run out of the park.
Yes,
I
we're gonna
like
say it's the Christmas is saved, as little Thomas would say.
Christmases say I think a really bright spot for me too was that Kimberly Susted cameo that she had, and she also was one of the ones who was behind the scenes on this project with Paul. They worked together on it. She was in the credits as well, I noted. So,
Yeah.
I think, like you said, Jennifer, this was a gamble, could have gone sideways, could have gone south, could have ruined the whole franchise, and now I'm also seeing some scuttlebutt that there might be a 3rd installment of this storyline, so stay tuned. I
I
guess it
saw
would be
people were like, "Is the next one gonna be a wedding?"
yeah,
And
wise, wiser, wisest, 3 wisest man, and a preteen, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know if I wanna see Thomas as a preteen, but
Mm.
Paul Campbell did respond to somebody's tweet about that, and he said as long basically to the effect, "If you keep watching them, we'll keep making them." So,
Okay.
keep seeking. That's a pretty bold thing for him to say, yeah. But
Yeah.
nobody better have food allergies next time, Paul. Anyways.
Which may seem to indicate that it's already in the works, because I doubt someone of his caliber is gonna say that if it's not potentially
Right, the
really.
day after it aired, yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I mean, they made 3 Grimsman movies. Hallmark loves a trio, so
A
I
trio,
think
a trilogy.
there's 3 guys, they can each have a trilogy. Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
makes
so
sense, so
I would say, this episode comes out right before Thanksgiving. This would be a great, if you've not seen it, a great end of Thanksgiving, family gathered around the fire, putting ornaments on the tree, doing the Christmas thing. Great family flick.
because you love to pair a Hallmark movie with an actual event in our lives.
I do. I want them to apply. I don't want to just put it out there. I want it to apply.
Here's a way you can use this movie to better yourselves and to better your holiday season. I love it. You're like one of those, like, wine things, like, "Oh, if you're eating this meal, try this wine to pair with
Pair
the
it
meal."
with this. Exactly.
And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks to our good friend Nick Shores for our theme song. And of course, to all of you for taking the time to watch us on our YouTube channel or listening on your favorite podcast platform.
And hey, if you like our podcast, we would love if you left a 5-star rating and review, subscribe, tell a friend. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a follow over there. We love responding to your comments. And you can always connect with us at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Stay tuned to our socials to find out where we're going to go next. And until then,
May your days be merry and bright. We'll see you very soon. Happy Thanksgiving.